Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Mark Worms, Executive Director of Bernhiem Forest, correct?
Correct.
Cool. Well, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
It's my honor.
I love all things nature and conservation and everything. And so when I heard about this situation, essentially that was happening kind of in my own backyard, I wanted to reach out and talk to somebody about it and everything. But I'll hand it off to you to kind of, tell the audience the situation that's going on at Bernhiem Forest and, just kind of what's going on.
Sure. First, maybe just a little bit about Bernhiem Forest, because it's a rather unique place in the eastern United States and certainly here in Kentucky. And that is that we are celebrating our 90th anniversary this year.
Nice.
And so 90 years ago, our founder, Isaac Wolf Bernheim, who made a lot of money in the bourbon distilling industry, at the age of 65 decided to give back to the people of Kentucky for allowing him to live the American dream.
Cool.
And so he bought 13,300 acres of land that was old, decrepit, over-farmed, over-logged, in some cases minerals removed. And he knew that nature was restorative and regenerative. And he believed that all people, regardless of race, creed, or economic status, would benefit from time in nature.
Nice.
And so he created the Isaac Wolf Bernheim Foundation and Bernheim Arboretum and Research Forest.
Nice.
So this year we're celebrating our 90th anniversary, as I said, and we are now 16,137 acres in size. So we've been adding some land for conservation purposes primarily. And of course our mission is connecting people with nature on this 25.5 square miles of land that we have.
Nice.
So we have some wonderful things going on to connect people with nature, from art and nature to research to educational programs and big public events. So that is Bernheim.
Nice.
Well, for the first time in 90 years, we are faced with two threats, two external threats. One is LG&E, Louisville Gas and Electric, wants to push a pipeline through our conservation land. That pipeline would carry natural gas. And so the threat is, one, that a swath 4,000 feet long, 3/4 of a mile long, and up to 75 feet wide would be cut through our forest. The pipeline dug through, regardless of springs and streams and hillsides and erosion, would be cut through our land and would be forever maintained, we hope. Because we know what happens when pipelines are not properly maintained. So that is one threat that we're facing right now. The second threat, at the same time, is a study by the Department of Transportation looking at proposed routes for a interstate connector. And this would be from I-65 that heads north-south to the east-west I-71. And in Louisville, we already have the Watterson connector, I-264. We already have the Gene Snyder Interstate Connector, which is the outer loop, 265, and they're proposing some route for yet another connector between those highways. The trouble of that is that there are 12 study routes, and at least 4 or 5 of those would cut across Bernheim land if they're adopted. And that, of course, would be a huge take of Bernheim, but it would also be a huge take of farmland and open space and other forest lands and horse land and everything else right up through about 4 or 5 counties. So these two threats are facing Bernheim for the first time in 90 years.
Is this the first time that y'all have faced, like, any threat of anything cutting through, or is it the first time that two things have been
Well,
proposed?
little both. We do have some existing pipelines cutting across Bernheim. And part of that is because we've been pieced together over time. Part of that is, at the time people thought, well, for the war effort or those kinds of things, we need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this now is about just sheer economic development.
Right.
Now, let me say this very clearly. Bernheim's not against economic development.
Right.
And we're not against any kind of regional growth. But what we want to do is do that in a planned way, a smart way, a way where conservation can keep track, can keep up with development.
Yeah.
And right now, conservation lands are rare, and Kentucky has very few conservation easements on lands. And so to break a conservation easement, we can talk about that in a minute, is a horrible precedent.
Well, I was looking online